Coaches, good afternoon. My name is Chaz Henry. I am the CEO of PowerChalk. We are the software service behind Little League Connect, and today I'm pinch hitting for Matt West. The topic today is running an effective practice. And while Matt has no doubt run more practices, and I'm sure more effective practices, he's done that on a pro level. So in this case, I'm happy to say that I'm the old pro. And having coached my son for the last 10 years, my goal quite simply today is to impart some of what I've learned during my decade in the dugout. So with that, my first question is, what's a good practice? And let's start with what a bad practice looks like. This picture is what got me into coaching. My oldest son signed up for baseball. I played baseball, and that was really my main sport in high school. But I had not coached a youth team, so we went to our first practice, and this is what our practice looked like for the whole season. It was basically 90 minutes of the coach pitching to one batter and 10 guys with their hands on their knees. And inevitably, every practice ended up with at least 3 guys in the fetal position. And so I knew there was a better way. Having been a baseball player and having just lived and breathed baseball, I just had an enthusiasm for the game, and I wanted to impart that enthusiasm to my kids. So with that, the question is, what is a good practice? And I think for me, and we've played a lot of sports. My 2 boys, we played hockey, we played baseball, we played basketball, we played lacrosse. And what I've noticed is that we've had some really good coaches. We've had coaches who really knew the game. But I felt like about half of the coaches didn't have a good definition or a good objective for what their practice was. And for me, my definition became repeating good form and good mechanics in order to advance your skills. And then I've got a footnote there that while having fun. I mean, to me, one of the coaches asked me one day, we talked about, I said, yeah, I coach, and he did too. And he said, are you coaching developmental or competitive? And to me, all youth sports are developmental. And I think some of your kids are probably in travel ball. Some of you coaches may coach travel ball, and I just want to reinforce that it's all developmental. So that's a whole different philosophy, and probably a whole different webinar that we could do someday. But I really believe you got to keep having fun. But I think I want to underscore a point here, and that is that you want to practice good mechanics. So much like my golf game, if you're out there and you're practicing, you're repeating some skills, and you're not practicing good mechanics, you're developing bad habits. So one of my coaching axioms, I am pretty cerebral about the things that I approach, and having not coached before, I immediately started reading books. And one of the most profound things I read was that new skills are learned on the edge of your ability. So what do I mean by that? If you have a certain ability and we practice within the middle of that ability, we're developing stamina. We're not developing new skills. For example, hockey, if you can make a turn and you can lean at 15 degrees, we want to set up cones that have you leaning at 20. So if your shortstop has a range of 2 feet, then I want to hit balls to him 2.5 feet from his center. I want to hit him left, I want to hit him right, 2.5 feet. I want him to do the drills that we're doing faster, higher. One way to accomplish this is to have kids race. If I have a certain skill, if I can juggle, and you ask me to juggle faster, then I'm actually developing new skills. So, to get that into neurological, if we want to drill down to it, new skills are developing new pathways within your existing neurons. You're basically making an electrical signal jump across a gap. And those gaps are called synapses. And it's really hard to make that signal jump across the gap for the first time. So our bodies, everything in us resists doing it a new way. The human body just wants to do things the same way over and over and over. And when we make that signal jump, we've created a new path. Now, it'll prefer the old route, so you have to reinforce that path again and again. But when you do, you've created a new skill. And like I said, you do that by doing it faster. You stretch the ability, And for me, you put kids in races or put them in a situation where they're pushing themselves. The other thing I want to do, and I'm going to get to the the real mechanics of a practice and coaching, but again, I wanted to impart to you some of the things I've learned. One of the things I've learned about baseball is a lot of skills come down to triangulation. The reason you have two eyes is the same reason you have two ears. If someone drops something over off to my right, I know that it's to the right of me because it hits my right ear first. We're not conscious of this, but you have two eyes for the same reason. You can triangulate something that's coming to the center of your eyes with almost perfect accuracy. So what does that mean? What does that mean in practical terms? It means literally when my guys, and almost everyone starts their practice by having the kids grab a ball and start warming up. So two guys are across from each other, and they're throwing the ball. And typically the ball will be a little off, and the kids will reach out and catch it off to their side. What I ask my kids to do is move to the ball. Center over to this ball and make that ball come to the center of your eyes. And what that does, it gets them used to moving their feet. So now as a shortstop, if I can get to a ball, I want to center up to that ball. I want to catch it between my two eyes. Now, I can catch it off to my side, and most of the kids can make this catch right here. They can make that catch, but think to yourself, in fact, if you're free within your office, reach your arm out and ask yourself, what's my confidence level of catching something with my arm fully stretched versus my confidence level of catching something that's coming right to my nose? Obviously, we can catch off to our side, but it goes from almost 100% to a 90% probability when you start reaching out. So again, this is something. The other thing about this is, everyone's got a little bit of a natural flinch, and what we want to do is we want to work that flinch out. So really, I have my guys center up to everything, even warming up. So another one of my coaching axioms, and I found this over the years, is we've literally had a coach who had 12 baseballs, and he'd start to run a practice with 12 baseballs, and I just knew it was not going to be good. I have basically almost need to buy a new trailer to pull. We take so many baseballs. I take as many as 4 to 6 buckets of balls, and one of those are wiffle balls, by the way. So we'll get into the details of how to set up a practice. So that's one of my other axioms, is that it just takes a lot of baseballs to run a really good practice. So if I were to put a good practice into words, or into a single word, that word would be stations. Basically, for me, stations equal parents. I ask all of my parents to get involved, and it's actually, coaches, something you can use as a trade-off. I tell my parents, I want your involvement. I want you to help us with practice. I want you to run a station. I want to, and what I'll do is I'll tell those assistant coaches, I call them all assistant coaches, what I'm looking for at that station, and then my trade is I ask these parents, since I've solicited your involvement up to this point, I'd like, when the games start, for you to not coach. And in fact, I insist that my parents do not coach. Once we start playing baseball, once a real game is on, give me all the input you want in practice. If you disagree with the way that we hit, or this stance, or this, the Charlie Lau, let the bat go as opposed to keep your hands on the bat, then I want all of that input. I want to collaborate with you until the game starts. When the game starts, the only thing I want to hear from my parents is attaboy, attaboy, attaboy. No mechanical advice. We just let these kids play. These kids are out there. We've practiced something. It is too late to change them and change the way they approach the game or their mechanics in a game. We'll work on that in practice. So 60-90 divided by 15, what I mean by that is, if I've got 15 kids and we've got a 60-minute practice or a 90-minute practice, let's take the 60 because it's easier math. I've got 4 minutes. So I'm going to run stations, and I'm going to blow a whistle at 4 minutes, and then we're going to move. And these kids get a lot of different looks, and they get a lot of different stations. So to illustrate some of that, so specifically, what do I do in practice? Let's fire up PowerChalk here. And what I've done is I've brought up the PowerChalk Telestrator, and specifically I've gone into load, and I've gone into diagrams, and I've picked, you'll notice there's a diagram, coaches, if you want to use this, there's a diagram called baseball practice. There it is right there. And what it's got It's got a lot of these, it's got extra players. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you what a typical practice looks like for me. And again, we could talk for hours about this. But basically, I'll set up a tee session. So let me grab my path tool, and I'll just put a dot in the furthest left field corner. I'll put up a tee, and I'll have one batting and one guy shagging the balls. And I do this with wiffle balls because what I firmly believe, and let me go ahead and draw this out. There's a safety area here. Within the infield, I run batting practice. I mean, to me, it's about batting practice, batting practice, batting practice. But I only run it with 3 infielders, shortstop, and again, I consider these all stations. Let's take my bucket of balls. So we've got a bucket of balls for this guy, and those are wiffle balls, by the way. I've got a bucket of balls that we're pitching with. I've got a bucket of balls that I put out into here, and I send 2 guys out, and those guys simply throw baseballs against the fence. Because again, what I'm looking for, and I assign a parent to all these stations, and I tell the parent what I'm looking for. In this case, to get a good stretch, to have an active left side, to reach up with your left side. I'm assuming you're right-handed, and pull as you throw forward. So they just throw against the fence. They throw a bucket of balls, and then they go take the bucket, and sometimes I put the bucket out there and have them actually, throw at the bucket. And then, of course, the bucket is right there for them to pick all the balls up. Now, let's send 2 guys off to right field here. And in right field, what I typically do, I'm going to switch back to my PowerPoint here. What I typically do is we hit what we call skyscrapers. Now, there's no way that any coach that I've ever seen can take a bat and hit balls, and when they've only got the right field to work with, hit balls to these guys right here and still send them this high. So really what I want to do, I said earlier, if my guys are comfortable catching a 10 or 15-foot pop-up, I want to hit these things 40 feet. And I do that, by the way, I'll go back to PowerPoint. I do that with either tennis balls or I do it with tough lights. If you're not familiar with tough lights, it's what they use at the lower levels. And it's almost a hollow ball with a leather jacket sewn around it. So it's light as a feather. Because as I'm hitting 40-foot pop-ups, even to my older guys, it's, as you know, coaches, somebody's going to take one in the nose. And specifically, using my triangulation theory, I'm asking these guys to bring that ball right to their nose. I'm not asking them to catch it off to their side. I'm asking them to catch it in front of their face. Bring that ball right to your nose where you can triangulate the baseball. So again, this makes a great station, and it makes it very possible, for a coach to only have this much real estate, only have this area of right field, and still hit 50-foot pop-ups. And we rotate. So you notice a couple things about this practice. These guys are going to do these drills, like I said, for 4 minutes, and they basically have no breaks at all. We're not looking, obviously, on a hot day we take water breaks, but we're not looking for guys standing around with their hands on their knees. Now I'm drawing the dugout here, and the reason I am is I'm going to put one guy in the dugout. That's another station, and we'll talk about that. And I'm also going to have someone literally working up against the fence on the outside, and that's what I call the goalie drill. So I'm going to have one guy over here, and there's a bucket of balls, and I'm going to have a coach throwing these balls against the fence, and I'm going to ask this guy to be a goalie. So literally, I'm going to stretch him out, and we're going to throw to this corner, we're going to throw to that corner. So the fence becomes the goal, and the player becomes the goalie. So I'm asking him to protect that fence, and I'm asking the coach to stretch him out. Now, let's talk about the dugout. This is what I call the hands drill, and my handwriting is not great with this mouse, but let's say hands right there. And the hands drill is this. One of the things I've learned is that, from a very early age, kids are taught, we basically, before these guys are even ready to catch a baseball, we put a glove on their hand, and we throw it into the glove like it's a salad bowl. So what happens is, they start to learn to use that glove like a salad bowl. They hold it in that position regardless, and what happens is the ball hits the heel of that glove and comes up and pops them right in the face. So it's a real disincentive to want to catch a baseball when you've been plunked in the face with a baseball. And so what I do is I ask them in this drill, And again, we grab another station. We actually can use the dugout as a station. So in that station, what I do is I ask my kids to take the glove off. And I'm going to roll this back. Now you notice the balls that I'm using here. Okay? So in this scenario, what I'm doing is I've got literally a hacky sack. You know, I've got a golf ball, wiffle ball. You know, I've got tennis balls. I've got these little, you can barely see it in the background, almost like super balls that you'd get out of a bubble gum machine. And I've just got some random balls. If you've got all hacky sacks, my personal favorite is this right here. I mean, it's small enough where what we're doing is we're teaching the guys to catch, you know, in the palm of their hand. So I'm asking them to learn where the center of their hand is. So the drill itself is this. I'm going to ask my guy to, I'm going to stop him right here. Let me back it up. I'm going to ask him to just put his hand over his heart. So in other words, be right there and be ready for anything. And then what I'm going to ask the coach to do is I'm going to ask the coach to work the ball around in a circle. So I'm going to ask him to go over into this corner and into this corner and always, always, always throw one right toward his face. And again, that's where the hacky sack comes in. And we do this hundreds of times. So this is about repetition. Now what I'm looking for, and we do these corners as well. So there's really 5 different throws. And what I'm asking the coach to do is work, you know, this ball around the circle. And we're trying to do a couple things. We're trying to, A, eliminate this flinch. We're trying to get rid of that flinch for good, that you're not scared of that ball coming to your eyes. And the other thing we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that in every instance, you've got your hand in the right position. So obviously when you reach across your body, you know, to the top, it's thumb down. So we're trying to find out, you know, are they using the right position? All right. So now in this case, and by the way, if we catch them, if you will, using the wrong position, so and a lot of times, you know, this we'll see guys whose hand is flipped over there, so they'll try to scoop that ball right there, you know, with glove up. And what we'll do is we'll just hit that position over and over. We're going to hit that, you know, maybe 10 or 20 times until we get, you know, again, we're trying to make that that electron jump through that synapse and create a new path. And you know, you'll hear that described as muscle memory, but basically that's what we're doing here. Is we're going to work him around the circle, and you know, as we do, what we're going to do is we're going to find out, you know, that he's maybe got a weak spot. And what you'll also see, so he's got a correct hand position there. Things look good there. And again, as we continue working him around the circle, we're going to throw one. I believe this one's coming to his nose. No, there's the right side. So again, the other thing we're doing is we're trying to show these guys in a real controlled environment here that you don't reach out and snatch. I mean, you get your hand. I mean, that may be for my taste reaching out a little far. I want to let the ball come to me, and I want to let the ball, you know, in this case the hacky sack, close my hand. You know, I'm not reaching out and snatching these things. So here's where we find out, okay, we got a weakness right there. And like I said before, you know, your confidence level of catching a ball this far away from your body, from your center, is much lower than something that comes right to your eyes. Now, part of the reason we do this drill, I talked about triangulating. Not every ball, you can't center to every ball. There's going to be balls that are an arm's length away, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to increase your range, you know, out to these different sides. So anyway, that's the hands drill. So we're running that in the dugout. We're running the goalie drill. Give you a quick visual on the goalie drill. We're running the goalie drill up against the fence. So again, I've got a coach with a bucket of balls, and you know, let's draw the bucket right there, and he's throwing them into this corner, into the upper corner, into that corner, and we really got this guy protecting the fence. And this can be a lot of fun too, coaches. This is something that, you know, obviously as they catch, we speed it up, and again, make them go faster. You know, we're creating new abilities by making these guys go faster. And we're also stretching them out. And we're also throwing. Now, I typically have some tough balls in there or some tough lights. And one of the things to do to increase their ability is to increase the speed. So if you can catch a ball that's thrown right at your face, can you catch it when it's thrown half again as fast right at your face? Obviously, that's where I reach in there and get some tough lights. because if we do happen to plunk them, it's really no big deal. All right, so back to our diagram here. As far as batting practice, one of the things I do in batting practice is I'm going to, I drew these 4 infielders. So I have the infielders literally playing the ball. So here's my batter. Let me put a batter in the batter's box here. I've got my batter hitting balls, and if it's a ground ball to short, I'm asking him to make the play to first. What I also do is I put a runner on base. So one of my stations, if you will, is to be the runner. Now why do I do that? This is actually something I got from Matt West. What I realize, these kids they're young. They have not seen hundreds or thousands of baseballs, coming off the bat. I want them to know what a base hit looks like. And I want them to know what a base hit looks like when you're standing on first. Can you tell the difference in a ground out and a base hit? And, what I want them to do is start developing that instinct so they can, quickly gauge a base hit. If it's a fly ball, if it's a gapper, I want them to be able to see that. So that's a really important skill that can only be learned by doing. There's really no way to describe to someone what a base hit looks like when you're standing on second. And again, put him on that base every time that he, moves up to third. We're not asking them to come to home. Then we'll just reset him to first. So we've got a runner, we've got a first baseman, a second baseman, and a shortstop. So a couple questions. Let me pick off some of the questions. Do you advocate using smaller diameter wiffle balls? I do. I think the small wiffle balls are a great way to really focus the bat on hitting exactly where you want it. The other thing I'd throw in here, and I don't have it as part of the slides, but there's a couple warm-up drills that we use. You typically get to the field 20 or 30 minutes while the other team is playing. I found that pepper, having 3 guys in a semicircle who are throwing the ball toward a guy who's really just taking almost a little half stroke, and he's trying to direct it, back to the guy that threw it to him or to one of the other 3. I think that's a great drill. If you've ever seen the Tiger Woods commercial where he's bouncing that ball and he's doing it between his legs, and you think, well, that's amazing, feat, but what's that got to do with golf? It's got everything to do with golf. What it shows you is that Tiger knows exactly where the center of that club face is, and he can do it in his sleep. And the pepper drill, I mean, it's something you see in old-time movies. You got 4 guys, in the old pinstripes playing pepper. It's absolutely, creating a fundamental that these guys know where the head of that bat is. So it just develops control. The other thing we use is a 2-ball drill. And there's 2 ways to play 2 balls. You get 5 or even 8 guys in a circle. So I really try to keep my guys occupied and keep them doing constructive things. Get your half of the team in a circle and put 2 balls in play and just have them barehanded throw that ball to each other. Now, if you've only got 2 people, we have a different 2-ball drill, and that is you throw 2 balls. You have to throw both balls with one hand. Wish I had a graphic on this, but you throw both balls with one hand. So you're not really trying to spread the balls out, but the balls spread themselves out as they're coming toward to the receiver, and he needs to catch both balls. And again, you'll find it's something very, very hard to do when you start, and you'll be amazed at how quickly these kids start catching both balls with both hands. So again, what it shows you is they're developing new neural pathways. All right, so back to the outline. So the other thing I try to do is, like I said, we're making this thing, we're trying to keep this very high-paced. We're rotating every 4 minutes. We're doing, I mean, that's the absolute maximum that I can give every kid. I'm really all about taking swings. You got to take BP, take BP, take BP. So I've got a station where they're hitting and really working purely on form out in the outfield, hitting wiffle balls, but then we've got one hitting live pitching. And, so that's the meat of the practice. Obviously, you could substitute all kinds of different stations. There's pickle. You put 2 bases out, and you have guys, 3 guys occupy that station, and then, one is in the middle, and he's in it basically in a rundown. And you got 2 guys throwing the ball back and forth. The other thing I really like to do is I like to have a big finish. And we have 2. I'm just going to show you 2 of the drills that we use for the big finish. The one is we just create 2 lines. I tell everybody to go to home plate, and What I do, by the way, a real quick and easy way to sort coaches, because you're trying to create, two very even teams. You tell them to line up by height. And depending on the age, it takes them, somewhere between 30 seconds and, 4 minutes to sort themselves by height. But then what you ask them to do is hold their hand up. Raise your right hand, and I just go down the line and I tap the hands, tell them to remember their number, and I say 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And what you've now done is you've got the 2 tallest guys, you've got the 2 shortest guys, potentially if you've got an even number, racing against each other. So now all the 1s over here, all the 2s over here, you hand a ball to each of the line leaders, and then you just run the bases. So this does a couple things. Once again, it gets these guys pushing. It really gets some heartbeats up toward the end of the practice here, and you're teaching them to run the bases. You're teaching them to how to recognize, hit the inside corners, and it's really a fun. I mean, all the dads are pulling for all the kids. Catch him, catch him, catch him. Dig, dig, dig. So we typically have 2 or 3 races. What we might do, if the races are a little uneven, is we'll swap out a player. We'll ask, Bobby and Billy to swap to make the race a little tighter. So that's one of the ways we have a really big finish. Get these guys pumped up, get them cheering for each other, and go off the field with some real adrenaline going. The other way, what I typically do, I'll pull the diagram back up, here is we have what we call a cutoff relay race. And I'm going to clear everything out here, and I'm just going to hit the reset button. And what I'll do, now this is obviously these players are pretty large relative to the field, but what I'll do is I'll space my players down the line. And again, depending on your age limits, you may have different numbers here. Let me put this guy slightly off, so we've got 2 guys here. But what I do is I create teams, and then the teams are basically going to just throw it all the way down and all the way back. So you get the idea, all the way down to the foul pole. We'll have a relay race. And I'm asking the guys to, this guy to throw it to this guy, to throw it to this guy, to throw it to this guy, and so on. Now, part of what we're doing is racing. So we're creating new ability by pushing, how fast you can do something and how fast you want to do something. But we're also starting to set up the idea that when you're the cutoff man, we talk about the X. Show me the X. Take the position of an X with this glove up to show me I am your cutoff man. Because when that ball gets in the gap and you've got your back turned to the infield, I mean it's a pretty intense situation. When you turn around, you just see about 20 different people, and you really need to find your cutoff man. So the cutoff man makes himself very visible. Then we ask we tell the kids to throw it to his glove side shoulder. We don't want to throw to the glove because if you're 2 foot high, you throw it over his head. If you're 2 foot low, if you're 2 foot high from the shoulder, then you're right in the glove. Or maybe it's a catchable ball. So we ask them to hit the guy in the glove side shoulder, and then we're asking the cutoff man to receive it in there and turn that way. We tell him the ball spins you around. So you inevitably, when you start this drill, have guys turn the wrong way. They'll catch it on the glove side, and then they'll turn. They'll make their turn to their hand side. So again, that's another quick drill. And so in summary, a couple summary sheets. Different measures of a practice, and I know this is not every practice. I mean, there's times when you just want to do a simulated game. We as we get early in the season, we do these fundamentals. I want these kids to take as many quality reps with good form as they can. But as we get closer to the season, I want to see if we actually know and can play a game. So we'll have practices that are just pure game simulation. But one of my measures of a practice is how much time did they spend with their hands on their knees. It's actually one of my just absolute deal breakers, is that especially as for the young kids, that we show them what an exciting game baseball is. I mean, baseball can be extremely boring, as you know, and it can be extremely exciting. So we're trying to show them exciting. How much time did they stand in line? I've seen coaches that run a pretty good practice, but their lines are too long. I see this a lot in hockey, and I see it a lot, in basketball, is that we run one station or 2 stations, and we've got, all of our kids And if you see them starting to push and shove and wrestle in line, they've got too much time. They're standing in line too long. And I think for me, this is one of my personal mottos is how much did I advance my weakest player? You know, coaches, we all get 15 players, and we've all got 3 guys who are the guys. And, you know, you can almost just roll them out on the field and throw